Welcome to Microbiome Minutes. My name is Whitney Kell. I'm a certified coach, and it's a great honor and privilege to get to work with a pioneer in gut health. Today we have Kiran Krishnan with over 15 years of experience in molecular medicine and microbiology. He's currently in over 14 trials, clinical trials, and presents and teaches to health professionals and lectures about at 50 different events a year. And we're really privileged to have him today. And I'm going to turn it over to Greg Rex, my coach, and he's going to help us get some amazing information and some juicy bites out of Kiran. Hi, Greg.
Thanks, Whitney. And thanks, Kiran, for being on with us. This is really exciting information. You know, when Whitney and I started health coaching 17 years ago, the idea of having a health coach versus going to a health professional was pretty foreign. And even back then, even though we were focused on nutrition, very few people knew anything about the microbiome, about gut health. And now it's the talk of the town. It's like one of these revolutionary breakthroughs. And for those people that aren't familiar with what the microbiome and what Microbiome Minutes is, let me just give you an overview. We're going to be coming back to Kiran, talking about different aspects of gut health, how it affects our body, how it affects our minds, how it affects our performance, how it affects our health. And we're going to be breaking it down over the time. But today, let's start with the big picture, Kiran. What is the microbiome and why should we care about it?
Yeah, so thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure to be able to get on here and talk science, especially this particular topic. So the microbiome is basically the collection of organisms and all of their genetic material that live in and on our system. And as it turns out, over the last 13 years or so, the research has shown that over 90% of our day-to-day function is coded for and controlled by microbes that live in and on our system. And the microbiome is understanding the collective of those organisms, their capabilities, and of course, where we see imbalances that lead to disease.
So when somebody is thinking about their gut, most people think about an organ. They don't think about bacteria. They don't understand that what you just said is very profound, is that like 90% of our genetic expressions are directed by that gut, that group of that colony, that universe of biomes, which is bacteria. Help people understand that bacteria is not a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the biggest misnomers, right? I mean, companies would have you believe that killing 99.9% of microbes is a really important marketing claim on products, when as it turns out that 99.999% of all bacteria are actually benign or beneficial. You know, it's less than 0.0001% of bacteria that are actually harmful and pathogenic. And what is the best way of controlling that 0.0001% that are actually harmful? It's to allow the other 99.999% to proliferate. They control it, right? So it's hard for us to go in and figure out which bacteria are bad and which are good and specifically kill the bad ones. So what we do inevitably is kill everything. And then that actually allows an open playing field for more pathogenic and problematic bacteria to do their thing and proliferate. And so we cause these problems, and then we start reframing it that bacteria are bad, when in actuality, we are made up of predominantly bacteria. You know, that's our system. And you mentioned the gut. So we think of it as a digestive organ, but in fact, the gut is a central command system for the rest of the body, you know, which is hard to understand for a lot of people.
Yeah, and you use this great metaphor about like us being a walking rainforest, being an ecosystem that's moving. And if you think about it, if somebody has beautiful rainforest and all these life forms in harmony, synergizing, living with each other, symbiotic, and then you introduce something like fracking or some sort of a toxic chemical, that's basically what's happening in our system. And then you also mentioned how these guys are helpers. Tell us a little bit about how our microbiome, our gut bacteria can save us and serve us.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's so important to understand that the human system is really a walking, talking rainforest. We are a very complex ecology made up of thousands of little miniature ecologies all over our body. So our skin has a different ecology than our gut, versus our lungs, versus our eyes, versus in women the vaginal canal. All of these things are very different ecologies, but they have to work together and communicate with one another in order to bring about balance, so the whole system can work and function as it's designed to. Now, in that system, think of the gut, as I mentioned before, as a central command system. So many of the bacteria in the gut act as generals in our body. You know, our immune system, 80% of our immune system is actually in our gut. And that immune system is critical to protect us on a daily basis, not only from invading viruses and even those few bad bacteria that are out there, but toxins that we have in our environment, mold toxins that we find all over the place in our homes and our cars and workplaces, things like environmental toxins, pesticides that are used on foods, chemicals that are used on foods. All of those things are neutralized and handled by the immune system. But the immune system is made up of thousands and thousands of different types of soldiers. But all of the plans and all of the information that those soldiers require in order to go out to the rest of the body and defend us come from the gut, come from those microbes in the gut. So you can think of our microbes as generals in the gut that are providing our immune system, our primary defense mechanisms, with the plans to figure out how to go out and defend this body of ours. You know, we are coming in contact with things all day long, every single day. Without those adequate plans from the general and without the equipment that the general gives those immune soldier cells, we really can't function as a human. And then we end up with chronic illness, we end up with systemic infections, chronic long-term infections, we end up with autoimmune disease, and so on.
Wow, that's fantastic, Kiran. Thank you so much. I think so many people are going to be surprised and brought to a new awareness around their health. So we're really excited to expand these topics too. You're chock so full of information. So I just want to say to those that are watching, please join us again for our microbiome minutes, and we'll bring back Kiran Krishnan. And thanks, Greg, for interviewing him. Great job.
Thank you.